Who is Ralph Waldo Emerson? Ralph Waldo Emerson, born on May 25, 1803 and died on April 27, 1882, who went by his middle name Waldo, was an American essayist, lecturer, philosopher, abolitionist, and poet who led the Transcendentalist movement of the mid-19th century. He was seen as a champion of individualism and critical thinking, as well as a prescient critic of the countervailing pressures of society and conformity. Friedrich Nietzsche considered him the most gifted of the Americans, and Walt Whitman referred to him as his master. Emerson gradually moved away from the religious and social beliefs of his contemporaries, formulating and expressing the philosophy of transcendentalism in his 1836 essay, Nature. Following this work, he gave a speech entitled, The American Scholar, in 1837, which Oliver Wendell Holmes Sr. considered to be America's intellectual declaration of independence. Emerson wrote most of his important essays as lectures first and then revised them for print. His first two collections of essays, First Series, 1841, and Essays, Second Series, 1844, represent the core of his thinking. They include the well-known essays, Self-Reliance, The Oversoul, Circles, The Poet, and Experience. Together with Nature, these essays made the decade from the mid-1830s to the mid-1840s Emerson's most fertile period. Emerson wrote on a number of subjects, never espousing fixed philosophical tenets, but developing certain ideas such as individuality, freedom, the ability for mankind to realize almost anything, and the relationship between the soul and the surrounding world. Emerson's Nature was more philosophical than naturalistic. Philosophically considered, the universe is composed of nature and the soul. Emerson is one of several figures who took a more pantheist or pandeist approach by rejecting views of God as separate from the world. He remains among the linchpins of the American Romantic movement, and his work has greatly influenced the thinkers, writers and poets that followed him. In all my lectures, he wrote, I have taught one doctrine, namely, the infinitude of the private man. Emerson is also well known as a mentor and friend of Henry David Thoreau, a fellow transcendentalist. Top 50 quotes by Ralph Waldo Emerson. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. For every minute you are angry, you lose 60 seconds of happiness. Finish each day and be done with it. You have done what you could. Some blunders and absurdities no doubt crept in. Forget them as soon as you can. Tomorrow is a new day. You shall begin it serenely and with too high a spirit to be encumbered with your old nonsense. It is one of the blessings of old friends that you can afford to be stupid with them. Always do what you are afraid to do. I cannot remember the books I've read any more than the meals I have eaten. Even so, they have made me. The purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well. Live in the sunshine, swim the sea, drink the wild air. What you do speaks so loudly that I cannot hear what you say. When it is dark enough, you can see the stars. Is it so bad, then, to be misunderstood? Pythagoras was misunderstood, and Socrates, and Jesus, and Luther, and Copernicus, and Galileo, and Newton, and every pure and wise spirit that ever took flesh. To be great is to be misunderstood. Make your own Bible. Select and collect all the words and sentences that in all your readings have been to you like the blast of a trumpet. The glory of friendship is not the outstretched hand, not the kindly smile, nor the joy of companionship. It is the spiritual inspiration that comes to one when you discover that someone else believes in you and is willing to trust you with a friendship. All I have seen teaches me to trust the Creator for all I have not seen. The earth laughs in flowers. It is easy in the world to live after the world's opinion. It is easy in solitude to live after our own. But the great man is he who in the midst of the crowd keeps with perfect sweetness the independence of solitude. It is not the length of life, but the depth. The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. Dare to live the life you have dreamed for yourself. Go forward and make your dreams come true. Whatever you do, you need courage. Whatever course you decide upon, there is always someone to tell you that you are wrong. There are always difficulties arising that tempt you to believe your critics are right. To map out a course of action and follow it to an end requires some of the same courage that a soldier needs. Peace has its victories, but it takes brave men and women to win them. Write it on your heart that every day is the best day in the year. Once you make a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen. Adopt the pace of nature. Her secret is patience. Without ambition one starts nothing. Without work one finishes nothing. The prize will not be sent to you. You have to win it. Life is a journey, not a destination. Cultivate the habit of being grateful for every good thing that comes to you, and to give thanks continuously. And because all things have contributed to your advancement, you should include all things in your gratitude. If we encounter a man of rare intellect, we should ask him what books he reads. Make the most of yourself. For that is all there is of you. Write it on your heart that every day is the best day in the year. He is rich who owns the day, and no one owns the day who allows it to be invaded with fret and anxiety. Finish every day and be done with it. You have done what you could. Some blunders and absurdities, no doubt, crept in. Forget them as soon as you can. Tomorrow is a new day. Begin it well and serenely, with too high a spirit to be cumbered with your old nonsense. This new day is too dear, with its hopes and invitations, to waste a moment on the yesterdays. Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. A great man is always willing to be little. Be silly. Be honest. Be kind. Be not the slave of your own past. Plunge into the sublime seas, dive deep, and swim far, so you shall come back with new self-respect, with new power, and with an advanced experience that shall explain and overlook the old. Though we travel the world over to find the beautiful, we must carry it with us, or we find it not. Don't be too timid and squeamish about your actions. All life is an experiment. The more experiments you make, the better. You cannot do a kindness too soon, for you never know how soon it will be too late. The only way to have a friend is to be one. Shallow men believe in luck or in circumstance. Strong men believe in cause and effect. Our chief want is someone who will inspire us to be what we know we could be. People do not seem to realize that their opinion of the world is also a confession of their character. Let me never fall into the vulgar mistake of dreaming that I am persecuted whenever I am contradicted. A hero is no braver than an ordinary man, but he is brave 5 minutes longer. A friend is a person with whom I may be sincere. Before him I may think aloud. I am arrived at last in the presence of a man so real and equal, that I may drop even those undermost garments of dissimulation, courtesy, and second thought, which men never put off, and may deal with him with the simplicity and wholeness with which one chemical atom meets another. A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds, adored by little statesmen and philosophers and divines. With consistency a great soul has simply nothing to do. He may as well concern himself with his shadow on the wall. Speak what you think now in hard words, and tomorrow speak what tomorrow thinks in hard words again, though it contradict everything you said today. So you shall be sure to be misunderstood. Is it so bad, then, to be misunderstood? Pythagoras was misunderstood, and Socrates, and Jesus, and Luther, and Copernicus, and Galileo, and Newton, and every pure and wise spirit that ever took flesh. To be great is to be misunderstood. Guard well your spare moments. They are like uncut diamonds. Discard them and their value will never be known. Improve them and they will become the brightest gems in a useful life. Peace cannot be achieved through violence, it can only be attained through understanding. The creation of 1,000 forests is in one acorn. Every artist was first an amateur. You become what you think about all day long. The mind, once stretched by a new idea, never returns to its original dimensions.